Having trouble hearing your music over road noise and wind? Let's build something. So here's what I came up with. Two 10-inch subwoofers mounted directly behind the front seats. Welcome to Design Build Workshop. Let's see how I put this together. If you're into DIY and like building things with your own hands, come to the right place. Our first design consideration will be the constraints that we'll have to address, and there are quite a few of them. Because I have a deck drawer system installed, I don't want speaker boxes to extend above the deck so I can maximize my loading capability. The height of the deck from the tub floor is 12 inches, so I have to use the 10-inch speaker or smaller or it just won't fit. I have limited space between the front of the deck and the back of the seats. I'll need a certain amount of volume for the speaker boxes for the subwoofer to function optimally. So you can see there's quite a decent amount of constraints here that we've got to deal with, but that will aid in our design. I want to give a shout out to Mark at his YouTube channel, Car Audio Fabrication. I put a link in the description. His channel is great and he is really good at explaining the tech-heavy portions of his videos. I watched a lot of his videos before attempting this build, so thanks Mark. I decided to go with 1/2-inch MDF for the boxes, so that is what I started with in the design process. The initial design was just a square box with a bit of an upward angle for the baffle. However, once the deck drawer system was installed, I wanted to take advantage of the limited space I had, so the boxes took a unique shape. Being able to use the design software for this came in very handy. I think there are only 2 right angles in these subwoofer enclosures. One of the greatest advantages of the design software for me in this particular build was that I could calculate the volume of airspace within this odd-shaped box. This is important as there will be a specific volume of air required for the subwoofer to be optimized. Some of the pieces I could cut on the table saw and the bandsaw. The ring, however, had to be done with a jigsaw as I did not have an operating router at the time. I cut the wall that was to have the kerf as a rectangle first, then cut the saw curves so that I could curve the wall and then trimmed it to the wedge shape that was required for the design. I kind of made a mess of the saw curves. As you can see, they are uneven, which causes issues when it comes time to roll the panel to the needed shape. It came out okay, but next time I will pay attention to keep my cuts evenly spaced. Here you can see I used plywood blocking to help line up and attach the walls to the back of the box, using glue and pin nails. To stiffen up the saw curved wall, I applied body filler to make it more solid. I didn't bother sanding it down as it wouldn't be seen. I also added some more blocking to help secure the front baffle. I designed this trim piece on the computer and printed a drawing to work from in the shop. By measurements, I transferred the shape onto the 1/4-inch MDF. I did freehand some elements as it was just easier to do. Cutting the outside shape is relatively easy to do with the bandsaw or jigsaw. As with using all power tools, just take your time, there's no rush here. Cutting the inside ring will limit us to using the jigsaw after we drill a large enough hole to get the saw started. Once you've completed all your cuts, sand your edges and prepare for the vinyl. I used heavy gauge stainless wire mesh to cover the opening for the speaker. Cutting this with a tin snip is a little harder than wire screen, but doable. Trim the screen about 3/4 of an inch larger in diameter than the opening, so when you apply the trim to the baffle, it's held firmly in place without seeing any edges. Now that our trim piece has been cut and sanded, we can work on getting the vinyl applied. Place the trim piece in the back side of the vinyl and trace the form. Cut the vinyl leaving about 3/4 of an inch to 1 inch beyond the line so you can wrap the material. When applying vinyl to an organic shape, make sure to make a number of small cuts on the edges to make wrapping it possible. I use barge cement, which is a contact cement that's been around for quite some time. Mine is nearing the end of its life, so it's gotten a little thick. When it's fresh, it brushes really evenly. You'll need to apply the cement to both surfaces to be adhered. Let it dry for about 5 minutes and carefully place the trim piece on the vinyl. Once it's stuck, it's stuck. Here is where you can see why we make those small cuts in the vinyl, where it wraps around the edges. If you get any cement on the vinyl presentation side, you can easily rub it off once it's dry. Because I wanted more punch or sharpness from my bass, I went with sealed speakers. In other words, I did not build a ported speaker. From what I understand, a ported speaker will deliver a lower bass response, but also lose some clarity. I prefer a sharper, cleaner sounding bass, and I'm pretty happy with what it delivers. I'm going to add a link to the Jeep Deck drawer system build as it directly relates to this build. If you enjoy this content, please like and subscribe. Also, please share any comments or thoughts on this video or builds you may be interested in seeing in the future. Okay, here it is. I use cheap speakers, an inexpensive amp, and this thing hits pretty hard. The one thing I was thinking about asking you guys about, I've got this bolted directly to my box, the big cargo box. And I'm curious to find out if any of you audiophiles out there know that may provide some extra bass for these, extra resonance or something like that. But I've been really happy with it. It works really well. The greatest thing about it is that I can feel the music in my back. When this thing's really going, I can feel the thumping all the time. So really been pleased with these. I spent a little too much time on the design. That's okay. I enjoyed doing that part of it. Problem is you don't see it. So when the seats are back, you don't see any of this. But like I said, I like it, so it's okay for me. Anyway, that's wraps up this build on Design Build Workshop. Hope to see you next time.